Chelsea are moving absolutely mad. What's going on, people? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Football Therapy with me, your host Jan. I uploaded this morning. There's going to be a lot of videos, a lot of content here in Football Therapy as we apparently do 1 million transfers. We've brought in so many players. Everyone's going, well, Chelsea got 1,000 players on their books. They need to get rid of some. We are. Yes, I'm still blonde. Multiple here we goes, on top of multiple completed sale transfers as well, and we're going to reflect on that today. So welcome back to Football Therapy with me, your host Jan. Guys, I hope you're doing well. I really do hope that. Welcome back. Thank you as always for supporting the content, daily content here on Football Therapy covering the Chelsea. I appreciate your support, which you can show via liking and subscribing to this channel, Football Therapy, man. Let's get into it. Alright, so should we just have a little catch up? Where are we? Well, so far, off the dome piece, mate, who have we sold so far? Bashir Humphreys for like 10, 11, 12 million. Kepa Arrizabalaga for 5 million, but of course we extended his deal, so it represents a book profit. Joao Felix in a deal to Al Nassr that if all the, the clauses and bonuses are met, we actually make a profit on him, which seems extraordinary. Incredible, really. Of course, Noni Madueke for £48 million, raising to £52 million to Arsenal. Incredible business, really. Armando Broja, we've got the here we go to Burnley. I'm not entirely sure, but of course how much it is, but it's pure profit. He's an academy graduate in terms of a pure profit asset. And we've got the here we go for Leslie Ugochukwu, guys, from Fabrizio Romano himself. It's a deal for a fee over £20 million. Burnley have agreed to sign Leslie Ugochukwu from Chelsea on a permanent deal for a fee over 20 million quid. I mean, I'm not saying he's not worth it. He's definitely worth it. He's a great player. For me, had we not signed Dario Asugo as a Moises Caicedo deputy, a backup, for me, Leslie Ugochukwu is like a similar kind of player. But, of course, people who know, apparently Dario Asugo, really, really high ceiling in football, expected to be an excellent player. And by all accounts, is an excellent central defensive midfielder signing for Chelsea. So, to sell Leslie Ugochukwu for over 20 million Great British pounds, not euros, seems like excellent business. We are moving mad, bro. Quickly. Real double time. I tell you what, Burnley doing serious business with the Chelsea, yeah? 2 permanent signings in Leslie Ugochukwu and the striker Armando Broja. We've reflected on the Armando Broja element of it as well. Feel free to go watch your recent videos when I speak about that. Of course, in terms of young strikers, Mark Guehi going to Sunderland on loan. Chelsea were really adamant they did not want to sell Guehi because they want to see him play first team football, whether he could be a Chelsea striker, maybe. Remember, Mark Guehi only cost £5 million. After a season at Sunderland on loan, that could quadruple, turn into a £20 million sale. All Chelsea might think, he's turned into a £20 million player who might be a £60 million player for us if we keep nurturing him. So, multiple players to Burnley, sales going off everywhere, but there's more. That's not... My watch is having a go at me for not moving. Kiernan Dewsbury Hall, here we go, to Everton. Another confirmed exit. This is an exclusive from Big Fab Romano saying this. Kiernan Dewsbury Hall to Everton. Here we go. Permanent deal agreed with Chelsea and the player side. Chelsea have agreed to sell with Everton. The players agreed to go and join the David Moyes Everton side. The fee is worth £25 million fixed, which already, guys, I said to you guys recently, I would have maybe taken 20 million for Kiernan Dewsbury Hall, not because he's a bad player, but if he was to rightly go and demand first team football elsewhere, then I didn't think we were in a position to get our money back. But this package, is £25 million fixed, but with the add-ons, it turns it to £29 million. Which is essentially what we bought him for, 30 million. To sell him for 29 million a year later. By the way, it's a book profit because obviously you have the year off the amortized fee. So it's a book profit for Chelsea. And it's like a happy ending. So let's just, before we move on to the next players, let's talk about Kiernan a little bit more. First of all, deserves a great deal of respect. He came into Chelsea. I will never truly know. There was some rumours suggesting that he was a misguided gift from the sporting directors to at the time, new Chelsea manager Enzo Maresca. Of course, Dewsbury Hall was the star player of Leicester. When Maresca got them promoted, he was their Cole Palmer, if you will. And obviously, he was good for Chelsea. He was useful for Chelsea. He was an excellent trainer, an excellent professional. It's not like he was a bad player. He'd still probably be a useful squad player. But an outlay of 30 million and at his age, getting that money from him is a no-brainer, especially as we learn over time, over this year and beyond, and throughout the Club World Cup, what Maresca wants in his team, what we see in the future, who's going to be the most appropriate profiles. And yeah, not to say he won't be useful, he's been useful, but go and be a starting midfielder for a Premier League team. We've made the money back. And look, he will feel frustrated he didn't play the important games for Chelsea, but I think he will also enjoy the fact how he played, significant Conference League minutes, won that, got the medal. He, played Club World Cup minutes, got the medal. Had a good time with the boys. It will represent a good time for him, and Chelsea will be very happy with the money they got for him. I'm not saying he's not worth it for Everton. 29 million quid. He could be, great for them over the next 5 years, and he's a Premier League operator. But this truly is one of those deals that could represent good business for all. Chelsea, the player. And indeed, hopefully Everton for the players' sake. Woo, mama! It's all happening at once. Carney Chukwuemeka. Also today reported by Fabrizio Romano. Borussia Dortmund have reactivated direct talks for Chelsea for Carney Chukwuemeka. Negotiations ongoing between the clubs to find a solution. As of course we already knew, Carney himself wants to move to Borussia. He went there on loan. He enjoyed it. Chelsea are insisting on a permanent transfer, whereas perhaps initially Borussia Dortmund wanted another loan. But he, it's a great landing spot. We know Leipzig also like Carney Chukwuemeka. It would have seemed that a deal was going to get done. Look, Chelsea is still talking to RB Leipzig, but we're talking about, Tyreek George. Go watch this morning's video if you had to watch that. I speak about Tyreek George leaving on a permanent, how it's kind of bittersweet in many ways. It might be great for him. I think he'll probably be very grateful for the year he's just had with Chelsea, the young teenager breaking through, going to get a first team Champions League team transfer somewhere. Chelsea make pure profit. Recognised as a good player, but maybe not quite the level of, say, Joshua Chiampong in terms of what he can offer Chelsea and Maresca's Chelsea. So Chelsea, very much still in dialogue with RB Leipzig, but man, we are popping off here. Broja to Burnley, Ugachukwu to Burnley, Dewsbury Hall to Everton's a massive sale. If we get Carney Chukwuemeka to Dortmund, whether it's a Tyreek George to Leipzig as well, and of course there'll still be others. After this, I know there's 2 weeks until the league starts, but there's still a few weeks left of the transfer window. Chelsea are moving mad. We saw them do this before after the Graham Potter era when we had a heavily inflated squad. And they did it. They did the clear out. They sold loads of players. And seemingly, they're doing it again. Of course, I think the next player off the ranks will be a Christopher Nkunku, who by to be honest, a Renato Vega. And again, if we're talking about being a good selling club here, generating a lot of revenue, Renato Vega, I think Chelsea will comfortably nearly treble their money on Renato Vega, a player they bought a year ago. Huge market for the Chelsea player who cost £11 million and has played for Chelsea, Juventus, started competitive games for Portugal under Martinez. An amazing acquisition by the club that will make a huge profit. Him and, this is me speculating here, if Carney does go to Dortmund, I reckon it'll be a Renato Vega to somewhere next. And I do think Chelsea will, of course, demand a lot of money for Nkunku, but it would be a reduced fee than what they originally asked for. The sale for Nkunku shouldn't be difficult to go over the line, I don't think, because there's multiple landing spots. He sort of became a good citizen at Chelsea in the end. We all questioned his attitude for a while, but he was good in the Club World Cup, scored a very important goal, celebrated with the boys. People saw him on the big stage again, like, oh yeah, Nkunku, he's good, which helped us out a lot. So I do think there'll be a landing spot for Chris, though. And then, say, him and Vega are next. And then what are you left with? Well, you're left with a couple of very difficult sales. And, of course, they're represented by Ben Chilwell and Raheem Sterling. There's probably others maybe I'm missing, but let's just speak about those two for the moment. Two England internationals, both on really high wages, especially for what they represent. Of course, Raheem's by far the highest earner at Chelsea on £300,000 a week. And Ben Chilwell, now the way Chelsea view Ben Chilwell is a really good professional that was sort of unfortunate in how things developed at Chelsea in terms of, Maresca and his plan and this, that and the other. And they've tried to be a bit more delicate with him. They're bending their rules a little bit more in favour of Chilwell, apparently. Like, they were willing to, do the extra loan. They might loan him again because of, his sort of legacy and how important he's been and how professional he's been. But Ben Chilwell was on like 200k a week as a fullback. Reece James is as well, but it's Reece James. He's younger, he's better, he's Chelsea DNA, and he's captain. Ben Chilwell, although is a very good footballer, and I of course will die on that hill, he hasn't got any of those things going for him in terms of performing for Maresca right now. And I think that'll be tricky. But if Chelsea have done all these extensive amount of sales, these transfers, they will back themselves to indeed finish these off. And actually, Raheem Sterling, who seems like the final boss difficulty of selling, rightly so, because he's on insane money. He hasn't done anything in ages. Look at his loan at Arsenal. Like, what are you going to do? And he doesn't want to go to Saudi or whatever. Chelsea still think they can do it. There's something these, like, even back when it was Marina Granovskaya under Roman Abramovich, we used to be amazing. We used to still be excellent at selling, but seemingly still got the juice, man. Like, these sporting directors, I think, probably deserve a great deal of credit now because, yes, it's briefings to your Fabrizio Romanos and your other journalists, but they're saying, yeah, Chelsea trying to get 20 million for Sterling. There's a few options there on the table. Look, that's great. There's a few options to sell Sterling on the table. That's very impressive indeed, and I'm delighted to hear that's the case. Guys, keep it locked here to the channel, of course. Apparently multiple videos now in a day, so thank you for, if you do subscribe, turn the bell on, and thank you for liking this video. And of course, there is daily content over on the second channel, Football Yannick. Just replace therapy with Yannick in your YouTube search. We're closing in on 20,000 subs, so please do go over there and subscribe if you want to. Keep it locked. Peace.